Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Infants communicate through their behavior, and for many parents, this can be extremely frustrating. Babies cry, fuss, and throw tantrums. But what if your baby could actually begin to communicate with you as early as 6 to 8 months of age? With me in the studio to help us better understand is Courtney Coomjan.
Yep.
A mom of 4 children with a degree from the University of Massachusetts in Community Services. She minored in American Sign Language and studied advanced ASL at the Learning Center for the Deaf in Framingham, Massachusetts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So this is really an interesting topic, and I don't think a whole lot of people know about it. And I became aware of it a few years ago. And what I learned was that they can learn this at such a young age, and what it does is it gives an alternative communication channel that allows them to actually communicate more.
Right.
Than waiting for their verbal skills to come together. And verbal communication is very frustrating, I think, a lot for young children
Right.
when they're learning.
It's so true. The parents that I teach come in with typical kids. People often ask me, the children in your class hard of hearing, and usually not. These are typical kids, but parents know that there's so many benefits to offering sign language, teaching them sign language, because it can lessen, like you said, lessen the frustrations. They can communicate around, on average, every baby's different, but 6 to 8 months, babies can begin to produce a sign or something close to a sign to get their point across. So it really lessens the frustrations for the baby, the child, and for the parent as well. And vocally, children can't technically talk until they're 12 months. Again, every baby's different, meaning producing a word. I mean, they might say caca or for cracker, but saying it exactly might come around 12 months or so. So that's a huge jump start, 6 to 8 months, where they can produce a sign. For example, more, they may do something like more, or more, they might do approximations, but they can produce that sign to let their parent know that, they want more of the cereal, or they're all done with, that food, for example. So it's building their self-esteem that way as well, because their needs are being met.
So that's interesting. I've noticed that one of the first words that oftentimes children pick up is no, because their parents are always saying no to them, But the signing, I think, gives them the ability to communicate more often. And if the parent is, of course, encouraging, creates an environment that's conducive for learning and warm and loving,
Right.
Amazing things happen. Now, of course, I think one of the first questions parents have is, hold on here.
Mm.
You know what? How do I know my child won't talk at all? Because they think that
Right.
this alternate means of speaking is the way to go.
Right.
So what do you say to them?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't hear that as much. Maybe years ago you heard that, but because I think more and more people are knowing and hearing that ASL is such an important language, and it does offer so many benefits. But occasionally you get those few that say, I'm not going to teach my baby sign language, or you shouldn't teach my grandchild sign language because they're not going to be able to speak, when actually the opposite is true. Because when I always tell my parents to say it and sign it, so they're learning both the spoken word and the sign. But just learning sign language research has shown that it increases vocabulary and language.
I think it's amazing that if we can actually get them to communicate as early as 6 to 8 months,
Right.
how amazing that would be,
It's
because
very
we have to wait until their full verbal skills are developed, and parents get so frustrated, they go, what's wrong?
Right.
And the
Exactly.
child's communicating through crying and throwing fits, and it's not always obvious to the adult, the caregiver, to know exactly what the child needs.
That's
but
right.
but to be able to teach this is amazing. Now, we just ran some clips, and we'll probably run some more clips of you actually teaching. It's in your class,
Mm-hmm.
and the parents take the class with the baby right there. So now I was watching the clip. Some babies aren't doing anything, but
Yeah.
through their exposure, right?
Right.
The more they're exposed to it, the more they begin to see and begin to repeat
Right.
or duplicate, right?
With any language, if you're immersed in it. But a lot of times in my classes, the babies are sleeping. But that's okay, because I'm really teaching. I mean, a lot of times they're sleeping, but sometimes when we sing, always when we sing and sign, they perk up and they watch and they love it, and it will stop them from crying. But I'm really giving the tools to the parents to then go home and sing the songs that we learn and use those signs along with it. So you're singing and signing, and I always encourage parents to sign it. Again, as I said earlier, sign it and say it, but try and do it before, during, and after. So, for example, if it's time for milk, you know, before the baby's going to have milk, say, oh, it's time for your milk. And the during, oh, you're having your milk. And when they're done, oh, you finished your milk. So you really get a chance to say that so many times throughout the day. So they really do learn it. And when they sign back to you, it's when you least expect it, just like their first word. It's when they least expect it. And something, they may do something, or an approximation. As I said, more might be like more or more. But it's awesome, and you continue to model it the correct way for them. Over time, if you want to take their hands and correct them, great. If they're frustrated by that, then you want to stop. But continue to model it the correct way.
So I stopped by the ASL site, and I was looking at some of the benefits of teaching children. It's amazing, the benefits of it. And so you're a mom of 4.
Right.
Yes, obviously you've used it with your children. Can you relate any experience as to the power of it?
Well, I wish I could. I studied it, as you said earlier, in college very seriously, worked in a career, went a total different career path. I had my 3 children. I never used sign language. It never dawned on me. I'm almost embarrassed to say. And then my 4th son has something called Charge syndrome. With that, he's hard of hearing. So we are back in the world of the deaf and hard of hearing. So we sign and we speak at home. All the siblings, myself, all of us as a family.
And do you know, and I didn't look for any on their websites, but is this beneficial for children with disorders?
Well, it is. Oh, it is. I've done some at Children's Hospital in Boston, the Down Syndrome Clinic. I've done 2 workshops now because pretty much the children that go through there who have Down syndrome are not required, but almost highly recommended to learn American Sign Language, because traditionally babies with Down syndrome have speech delays till they're 2 and above. So this really is a huge benefit for them, because it's going to lessen them from being frustrated. So it's a dream for parents.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I can see how that would be really beneficial.
It is, and any kind of speech delays. There's a number of others out there.
So if a parent is interested in finding out more about this,
well, WeHands.com. My business is WeHands with Courtney, but WeHands started in 2001 by Sarah Bingham. So it's in Canada and across North America. Started in 2001. WeHands with Courtney in 2007, and I teach in the Metro West area of Massachusetts. But if you live elsewhere, we have 90+ instructors. So again, across Canada and the U.S., you just go to the WeHands.com, look for instructor, search for instructor. Put in your zip code and you'll find an instructor.
So classes are taught in local communities.
Yeah.
What are they? An hour long?
Well, it's, you know, we offer several different things. We have 8-week classes, 1 hour each week, 1 hour a day for 8 weeks, or 4-week classes, or 2-hour workshops, or the instructor can go to your home and form a group with your friends if you want. Wow. So we do a number of different things.
Well, thank you so much for coming and telling us about this, because I think this is really important. Parents don't know enough about this. And the benefits are huge.
Right.
And I think they're bigger than we really realize. So.
Right. It's also been shown to higher IQs, and yes, you're absolutely right. And you're welcome.
Excellent.
My pleasure.
Every parent who has an expressed interest in seeing that their child gets special educational needs must see the next segment. We're going to find out the best way to navigate the special education path through creating an educational plan for our children fairly and effectively. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the short break.